Well, Super Bowl 60 is in the books, and your Seattle Sea Chickens are world champions. My boy Sean here is, as you guys know, is a big fan of the Sea Chickens, and I'm just glad they beat the Patriots. But we are going to talk about the Super Bowl. We're going to look at where how the game went down. We're going to talk about the Seahawks, the Patriots, sprinkle in some Bills talk, and look forward to the 2026-27 NFL season. So, with that, I am Mike, joined by Mr. Sean O'Neill. And Sean, how'd you like the Super Bowl?
America wins when the Patriots lose. That's all I have to say. No, absolutely love that the Seahawks won. I mean, they were pretty much big favorites going in, outside of the lunatics in Foxborough and otherwise Patriots fans out there, can like Dave Portnoy and so on. But not a very exciting game, but it got the
No.
result that we wanted. And honestly, I'm kind of disappointed the kicker didn't win MVP.
Yeah, yeah, let's talk about the game first. So, the first three quarters of this game pretty difficult to watch. I mean, it was a defensive slugfest the first three quarters of this game, and Seattle only put up 3 points in quarter one, 6 points in quarter two, and 3 points in quarter three, all field goals. And yeah, I mean, just the Patriots just had no answers for the Seattle defense at all. Drake Maye got destroyed. The first seven sacks, two interceptions, two fumbles. One of them was a like an awkward pick six fumble thing where he like shuffled it to the one guy. I didn't even like see how that play happened, that pick six. It was just like the guy just had it and then he just like ran in the end zone with it. That was wild.
I
And
think
then
May tried to throw it.
yeah, it was wild. But you know, Seattle's defense is nasty, and you know what? Darnold was just pedestrian enough just to get it done. And I mean, props to their defense. And you know what? I do have to give props to Darnold as well. I mean, the first time ever, apparently, a quarterback has gone through the playoffs, not had an interception in the entirety
Oh,
of the
really?
playoffs. Yeah, not one
So
turnover. That's impressive.
much like Joe Flacco back in the day with Baltimore, Darnold did just enough for them to win. I mean, the defenses for both teams were real good the first three quarters, and
Yeah.
Seattle's defense just was great throughout. I mean, honestly, I think this defense might be better than the Legion of Boom was. And I think that the Mike McDonald, the coach of Seattle, had them much more prepared than Vrabel did. Um, the some of the game planning and calling on New England's side was kind of questionable, and just Drake Maye. I don't ever want to hear his name mentioned around the letters MVP ever again because he was exposed as Drake the schedule May, not Drake May. He this I mean, I've been saying for weeks, if you go back and watch our podcasts, that the Patriots were frauds. They were the byproduct of not just an easy schedule all year long, but the easiest road in the playoffs I think I've ever seen. They were the weakest AFC representative in the playoffs that I think I've ever seen. And the fact that they had to go through, I mean, the Chargers, who collapse every year, the
Scored three
turnover
points.
machine.
Scored 3 points. The
Yeah.
Chargers scored 3 points. I mean, you're not going to
And
win when you score 3 points in the postseason. So that I mean, the Chargers game to me is like a complete wash. I mean, and on top of it, the
so,
Chargers had no offensive line. So yeah, let's talk about that. Let's
okay.
actually break down their run. So because that's a very good point, right? The Chargers scored 3 points. They had no offensive line. They were missing everybody. Chargers were the most injury plagued team in the league this year. So yeah, the Patriots are going to win that fine. If
Don't
CJ,
forget, hold on, before we
go
get
ahead.
to that, don't forget that Chargers game too. That New England didn't even put up any points until like the fourth quarter themselves. They
And the
struggled
Chargers, yeah,
the
yeah, the
first three
Chargers were on
quarters.
the Chargers were on like the 2 yard line too, and they could have gone up 10-0 at that point, and that might have been a completely different game had they done that.
So that first game, New England was already starting to show symptoms, signs of the fact that their offense couldn't get the job done as often as they needed to. But then going into the second week, you were about to say,
Houston, if CJ Stroud was just competent, I mean, and it was difficult for them that Nico Collins was hurt. I will give them that. But at the same time, CJ Stroud turned the ball over 6 times. And you know what? Until late in that game, the Texans still almost won that game until late
the
because
had
they
the
sacked him like 8 times in that game.
had the Texans played anybody besides Pittsburgh in week one, they would not have made it out of week one. And so the New England got lucky in the fact that their above average defense was basically handed the game by CJ Stroud. He the dude had what, like 12 turnovers in 2 games, 13 turnovers in 2 games. Like, I'm sorry, that's insane. But then, like you said, they also sacked May like 6 or 7 times. And that's a bigger part of everything here, too, is that by the time you got to the end of the Super Bowl, Drake Maye was sacked the most ever by a quarterback in the playoffs. And
Oh yeah.
that's bad.
And then the Denver game where they played a backup quarterback in a blizzard.
Where they shouldn't have even been playing Denver, to be completely honest with you. It should have been in New England against Buffalo if the league could
Yeah.
figure out what the hell a catch was.
Yeah. I don't want to harp on that anymore. But yeah, you're right. But regardless, they played a backup quarterback in Denver in a blizzard, and they won by what, 3?
Yeah, they couldn't do anything either. Like the first half of that game before the blizzard started, their offense did nothing. Denver at least had the excuse of having a quarterback who hadn't had a single start all year. What is the air quote MVP's excuse? He should have been running up and down the field in that first half. And it just and then obviously we saw what happened last night. I mean, they were exposed. Their offense was exposed, and I think Mike Vrabel was exposed. I don't think, honestly, I think come next year, they'll be lucky to win 8 games.
I'm not going to go that far. I think they'll probably win like 10, but I don't think they're going to win 14 like they
Do
did
me a
this
favor,
year.
pull up their schedule. Let's look at the teams they play. Because you'll once you look at the teams they play, you'll get the same impression I do. Because I think this is worth talking about.
Boop, 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 boop. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Bills twice, Dolphins twice, Jets twice. I mean, they'll beat the Jets and the Dolphins twice, and they'll probably split with us.
Yep.
Um, Chicago, who's turned it
Yep.
around. Detroit, we'll see what happens with them. The Chiefs, Chargers again, Broncos, Raiders with the Raiders who beat them, and the Raiders will also have
Yeah.
Mendoza. Packers, Vikings who will be better, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, Seattle.
Yeah. And don't forget that the Raiders team went into Foxborough last year in the opening week and beat them. So there's something to be said about that too. You know what I mean? This
I
season, like
count,
I've been,
yeah, no, you're right. I count Seattle as a loss, Jacksonville as a loss, Packers as a loss, Broncos as a loss if they're healthy. I think Chargers will win at home. Chiefs is at Arrowhead. They'll win. Detroit will win. Chicago will win, and they'll split with the Bills. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 losses.
yeah, I,
Yeah, you might
I,
be right.
I, like I said, I'm calling it now. You're hearing it here first. I think that New England will be lucky to win 8 games next year. And I think that Drake Maye, it was proven that he can't what's the word I'm looking for? He can't stand up under the when the lights are the brightest. And part of me thinks that he might regress after this.
Yeah,
He's
I mean,
definitely not gonna, like I said, his name should never be near the letters MVP again. If he would have ended up winning this year, and then after this embarrassment of a game yesterday, the I think that the voters, the fact that as many voters voted for him as they did, should be embarrassed for themselves. And I thank God that that one random goon voted for Justin Herbert.
yeah, I mean, it's the same thing like that happened with Lamar 2 years ago, right? The year that Josh actually should have won, the year that
Yeah,
Lamar won, three years ago. Now, the year that Lamar won, that Josh actually should have won that year. Actually, Dak Prescott probably should have won that year, truthfully.
yeah,
But with that being said, um, you and I, we watched every game together that year, and we watched that one game, and I'll never forget that one game. I think we watched it with my mom, where the Ravens were playing the Giants, and it was the fourth quarter, and they were up by 30, and
yep,
Lamar was still playing, and Lamar put up two more touchdowns in that game, and I think he had like six passing touchdowns in that game, and they ended up winning by like 51. And
yeah,
it's like you're starting. You and I were both like, I hope he gets injured
yep. I
because
hate.
like I hate that. I don't. I mean, I know the argument is well, stop us, but at the same time, if you're running up a score in a fourth quarter, if one of your players gets injured, that's on you. That's on coaching. I don't like
Yep.
that. I don't like that at all.
I've always been of the opinion that if you are up by enough points, you need to take, and the Bills do it. It's one thing I'll give McDermott credit for is McDermott would take out the starters when they were up comfortably. And because I think that any chance you are running the risk of injuring your star players for no reason other than stat padding, you should be fired for that, or karma should hit you. And I mean, everyone knows that I am not a Lamar fan anyway. I think he's incredibly overrated, but I think that that's the same thing that we looked at this year with Drake Maye. The guy was an absolute stat patter.
Well, I mean, you know what? I mean, I don't want to talk about the Ravens anymore, but I think karma hit the Ravens this year.
Yeah,
I think karma absolutely came back to bite the Ravens this year. But
I'll say
anyway,
it
I
now. My last thing on the Ravens before we let go is I think they got rid of the wrong person by getting rid of Harbaugh.
we'll see. Maybe the Giants are going to turn it around.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, so that I mean the Patriots absolutely put up gaudy numbers on bad teams this year. They played a lot of bad football teams, but you know what? They took care of business. And you know what? The Bills did not. We want to talk about the Bills for a few minutes here. The Bills did not beat Atlanta. They should have. The Bills did not beat the Dolphins. They should have. Hell, the Bills had the ball at the end of the game to beat the Patriots and the Texans
yep.
with inside of the 2 minute warning, had the ball inside of the 30-yard line in Josh Allen's hands, first down to win both of those games. And they did not do it. And, they obviously, the Eagles game, say whatever you want about the Eagles game. Like, you could kick a field goal there and tie it, but like, at that point, like, whatever, go to
It doesn't
overtime.
matter.
The way that I don't even count that Eagles game. I honestly think they were just like, either we're gonna win it now or we're gonna lose. Honestly, with where they were, what their record was at that point, I would have made that exact same call 100 times out of 100 in the Eagles game. With looking back at it, knowing what their record is and everything else like that, I have no problem with the way that Eagles game went down at all. So I don't even want to
Nope.
talk about that. But that Miami game was disgusting. That Atlanta game was disgusting. You should have won both of those games.
The Atlanta game is a weird one for me because Atlanta was such a bizarre team this year. Like there were weeks where Atlanta looked like world beaters, but then there were weeks where they couldn't find their way out of a paper bag. So I'm going to reserve judgment on that particular game. However, because I think prior to the season, I had that picked as one of the Bills' losses when we did our predictions. I think there was no excuse for that Miami game. They just were not prepared. And against a team that you annually dominate 2 times a year, there's
That
zero excuse
their
for that.
coach called a timeout before the first play of the game.
Yeah. Like, I don't think I've
Remember
ever
that?
seen that before. Yep.
There was
And
literally 15 minutes in the first quarter, and he called a timeout.
yep. So I don't think there was any excuse for them to have lost that one, especially the way they did. It just comes down to the fact that for some reason they just weren't prepared. And I don't know if that all ties back to whatever was going on in the clubhouse between McDermott and Bean and all that. But now that's in the past, so we'll see what happens. The other one that I think I'm really angry about is just was that New England game. Like New England did not look good in that game. And the Bills, like you said, had the opportunity at the end of the game and just could not finish the job. The Bills win that game, the season's completely different.
Yeah, the Bills are in that. The Bills are on the 2 seed there, and that game is in Buffalo.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yeah, it's radically different. I mean, if the Bills win two more games, that Miami game and that Patriot game, the Bills are the 1 seed.
Yeah.
Every single thing comes through Buffalo. Denver wasn't going to come here and win.
No.
Denver was not going to come here and win. The Patriots were not going to come here and win in the postseason. Nobody was going to come here and win in the postseason. Nobody. You
So
saw what CJ Stroud looked like. He wasn't going to come here and win in the postseason.
so this isn't me being a homer for Seattle, though. I don't think that even if the Bills would have advanced, I'm not sure the Bills would have beaten Seattle.
I don't think so either.
I think
I think
Seattle's defense was just too good.
very
And
good.
the fact that the Bills really didn't have the wide receivers, I think that whoever came out of the NFC, honestly, God's honest truth, that NFC championship game was basically the Super Bowl.
Maybe though, but at the same time, they did only score 12 points through 3 quarters. I feel like the Bills would have been able to score points. That's the
I
one
think they
thing
would
that I
have,
will. That's the one thing I would say if the Bills were in this spot instead of the Patriots. I feel like the Bills would have been able to score points.
yeah, but knowing the Bills that we know, it wouldn't be until the second half. So,
No, I know, but I feel like Josh Allen would have willed them 2 points.
yeah, it
So
probably would have
I
been
think it,
closer.
yeah, I think it would have been a much different game, and I'm hoping that, I mean, who knows what the game plan would have been, but I'm thinking it would have been, I feel like the Bills would have scored points.
Yeah,
The Bills it would not have been 12-0 going into the fourth quarter if the Bills were
no,
in that spot. Would not have been. It might have been like 20-14 or something like that.
yeah. I mean,
They would have ran the ball. I mean, everybody runs in the Bills. They probably would have ran Kenneth Walker all over the place. But I bet our tight ends would have done some damage. And you know what? Seattle looked like a world. Their defense looked like a world beater. But you know what? The Rams figured it out on them. I mean, how many points did the Rams score on them all three of those games? You know what I mean?
keep in mind though that's a division game, and that by that third game, I mean, how often do you see teams end up playing each other 3 times in a season?
No, it's very valid point, but I am saying every single time they played the Rams scored more than 21 points on them.
Yeah.
You know, so it's absolutely possible. And you know what? There were a few games this year where Seattle got their teeth kicked in.
Didn't they lose to
You know,
Atlanta? No, not
I think they
Atlanta. Who did
lost.
they lose to?
They had one weird loss to some bad team. I forget who it was. Maybe it was Pittsburgh, but they had a bad loss to a weird team and where they got like blown off the field.
Yeah.
You know, so like it happens.
Yeah, I mean, good team. That's the thing people forget too. Everyone still wants. I was on TikTok earlier today, and all the Patriots fans were still bringing up Josh Allen's name in their arguments. Oh, at least we made it, and Josh Allen didn't. Okay, you still lost. But the point I was getting to is teams have bad games, and as Bills fans, I know we were pissed that they lost and everything, and that Allen had a bad game, but we can't ever forget that this was the first season where Allen had a bad playoff game in how many seasons? You know what I mean?
And despite
They
all the
still almost won.
turnovers, they still almost won.
They should
Game
have.
went to over. I mean, the game, first of all, they were ahead. Denver had to come back late to tie it. Or no, they had to come back. Who came back late? They came back late to tie it. The Bills came back
And
late to tie it.
then,
But they had an opportunity to win it. They couldn't pull the trigger there. But then it went to overtime. They got a stop in overtime. And then
yep,
they got the ball. And all they had to do was get into field goal range. And they couldn't do it.
yep.
They couldn't do it. Like, I mean, you got to stop in overtime. And you just had to get into field goal range. And you couldn't do it with the best quarterback in the league. So,
The fact that
yeah,
they got to overtime means that they overcame those turnovers.
yeah, it's exactly right. Those turnovers don't matter at all because you
No.
got to overtime.
And like I said, this was the first year where Allen had a bad playoff game. He is still statistically already one of the greatest playoff quarterbacks of all time. And I have no doubt that we'll see our Super Bowl. We'll get one before he's done here. I think it's going to be a case along the lines of like Peyton Manning and John Elway, where it comes later in his career.
I hope you're right. And I do want to give, I do just want to quickly go back to Seattle. I do want to give them their flowers. Like, you know what? They good job, good for them. We talked about it most of the year, and to your point earlier, Seattle and the Rams, 1A, 1B. I mean, they were the
Yep.
best teams in the league this year. And we've said it going back probably to the middle of the season. Those are the two best teams in the league.
Yep.
Like, it was never in question. Seattle and the Rams were the best teams in the league. That NFC championship was the real Super Bowl.
And honestly, if the Niners didn't have as many injuries as they did, that division was the best division in football, outside of obviously the Cardinals. The fact that the 49ers were fighting for the NFC champion, or like to be the NFC champion in the last game of the season tells you everything you need to know. The NFC was just significantly better this year. They may not have had as good of a record, Seattle, as New England did, but I think the NFC overall was significantly better than the AFC was this year, especially
Yeah.
with like how bad like Kansas City was and how bad Baltimore was for most of the season. I mean, we talked about it during a lot of our reviews that just if the AFC just really didn't compare.
Yeah. It's just wild. So, yeah, I don't know. See, you know what though? I think the bottom line is I think Seattle deserves it. And yeah, I'm happy for them. Great team, great young coach. Darnold got his flowers. He deserves it. So yeah, I think it was just a good wrap on the season.
That defense is going to be scary for several years because that's a lot of young guys on that defense.
Yep.
And having a young coach like McDonald is huge. I mean, yeah, New England had Vrabel, but Vrabel's been around for a while and his stupid sweater vests. But I think Seattle is. I don't. I don't know if I will guarantee them making it next year, but I think we definitely need to consider them contenders for at least the next several years.
Yeah, I agree. So, anything further to add, or
Um, as far as the Super Bowl itself goes, no. I mean, the fact that like no touchdowns were scored really screwed up all my bets. I can only imagine the sheer number of people who lost out to Vegas because of that. But um, I think it was a good cap to the season. I'm happy Matt Stafford won the MVP. Guy deserves it finally. Um, Here's a question for you. Do you think he comes back one more year at least?
I don't know. I watched his little thing that he did, his little there was like a YouTube short or something like that. He's apparently a girl dad. He's got
Yeah, he's
like
got like four girls.
four little girls who are young, like
Yeah.
very, very young. Like I don't think one of them is over 10. And one of them said something about how it was something like it was like a little giveaway. It was like, Daddy, does this mean you're going to be home more or something like that? And he's like, I don't know, sweetie. Like, and he kind of like made a big stink about it. He's like, I don't know, sweetie. We'll have to see. So something tells me I think he's done.
I mean,
I think
he
he's
is a
done.
Super Bowl champion. So he's won the bowl before. He's now won
Yep.
MVP.
Yep.
I mean, what
I was
more is there for him to do?
he's got nothing left to do unless they just give him a ton of money to play one more year, you know, with the Rams, and then he's to give the because the Rams have given him, they gave him his Super Bowl, they gave him his MVP. If what's his face, who's the coach, McVay. McVay
Yeah.
goes to him and says one more year so we can get our guy, and or maybe not. Maybe McVay will be like, yeah, go ahead, dude, and we'll because McVay's a great coach. I mean, he'll be like, yeah, we'll bottom out for 1 year, get an awesome quarterback, and we'll be back in 2 years.
So if Stafford retires, what do you think happens there?
They'll either bottom out and get a great quarterback in the 2027 draft, which is going to be loaded, or they'll go and get Joe Burrow
That's my prediction. I think
or
that
something like that. I could also see Joe Burrow. I saw a couple of people talking about this. I saw a lot of people mocking Joe Burrow to the Vikings.
are the Vikings ready to give up on McCarthy already, do you think?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm ready to give up on McCarthy. I
And
mean,
we're not even Vikings fans.
they got to be furious after letting go of Darnold.
Yeah. Certainly proved that maybe it wasn't Darnold's fault that they fell
I
apart
don't think
last
it was
year.
Darnold's fault at all.
Um,
I still don't
okay.
understand that. Like, dude wins 15 games and you let him go. What?
It's
What are you
it's
doing in
a
Minnesota?
so it brings up a similar situation for me for this year. If you're the Colts, do you re-sign Daniel Jones to another year?
Mm, they probably will because they spent all of that draft capital bringing in Sauce and bringing in that other guy. Who's the other guy they
I
brought in?
uh,
They brought in
I know what you're
Sauce and
saying.
they brought in somebody else too, and another defensive
Yeah,
guy.
I
So,
think Jones earned it.
yeah, I think he'll be back. I think I do think that they got exposed a little bit too, kind of like the Patriots, though. They beat up on a lot of bad teams too.
Yeah, they also suffered some injuries at the worst times.
Yeah.
Um, what else
Same
we
thing as
got?
the Packers, though. The Packers lost Micah, they lost Tucker Kraft. I mean, they lost the Golden for a bunch of games. So Packers would have been radically different if they were healthy too. And then, it's just some other weird teams, like Detroit. Like, what happened to them? I mean, they lost both their coordinators, that was tough,
They
you
were
know.
just so inconsistent.
I mean, who else is going to be better next year too? Who was real good this year? Jacksonville.
Yeah,
They were
I don't.
they were real good this year, and they're going to be better next year.
So I don't know. On that one, I might call you out on it because Jacksonville is one of those teams that seems like every time they finally seem to be doing well, the next year somehow they suck. Either like they have injuries or something happens, but it always feels like the year after Jacksonville does well, they regress.
I agree with you, but they do have themselves a really good coach now.
Yeah.
So
who I think
That's
should
the
have been coach of the year.
I agree with you 1,000%.
Um, Before we move away from Florida teams, what do you think happens in Miami? Do they do they draft a QB, or do you think they go? Supposedly, they're real interested in the backup in Green Bay.
Malik Willis.
Yeah,
I think they probably go after Malik Willis. I think they bottom out, they sell everything, and they try and get a quarterback in 2027. I think
because
the
I
Jets
think.
are gonna I think the Jets are gonna do the same thing.
Do you think whatchamacallit is playing for the Jets this coming year? The hell's his name? The
Fields,
quarterback. Yeah,
Fields probably. I don't
because
I don't
that
foresee I don't foresee the Jets being good again this year either.
same with the Dolphins. I think. I mean, if I had to look at the AFC, I would say the Jets, the Dolphins, and probably the Titans will still be bad.
The Titans are still a couple years away.
Yeah, I think the Raiders, you're going to see improvement faster than the Titans because with the
Yep.
Raiders, not only will be they be drafting that quarterback out of Indiana, but they also have Ashton GT already. So I feel like they're already set to improve. The NFC, I think anybody out of the NFC South is still going to be terrible.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, I don't know. The injury bug bit Tampa pretty hard.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And New Orleans was just bad. I mean, New
Yeah.
Orleans hasn't been able to figure themselves out since Drew Brees. So let's do your pick for next year's Super Bowl way too early. Who's it going to be?
Mm, 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 I don't like being on the spot like this. Probably Jacksonville for the AFC and maybe Seattle again.
I think it's going to be the San Francisco 49ers and the Buffalo Bills.
I don't think the Bills are going to make it to the Super Bowl next year. I think the Bills
I
are going
do.
to regress but next year. I don't, I need to see some stuff this offseason because right now, if it's the same team and the same general manager with the same draft class, I do not feel good about the direction of this team at this moment.
Oh, right now I'm choosing to believe the PB hype, and that might change after the draft, but this is just my too early prediction. And I think that the Jets are going to be the worst team in football next year.
If they go into the season, I know Terrence Reese doesn't love this, but if they go into the season and AJ Brown is on the roster or Justin Jefferson is on the roster, then yeah, then like let's go.
Oh yeah.
Get Jalen Waddle is on the roster. I mean, let's go. Get it done. Go and win the whole goddamn thing.
Yep.
Um, but yeah,
Spe- Speaking of wide receivers, how about the Stephon Diggs curse of having to stand on the field and watch other teams celebrating continue?
I heard that Cardi B broke up with him right
That
afterwards too.
that's what the internet was saying. So not only did he lose the Super Bowl, he
That's
got
hilarious.
broken up with, and his court date is on Friday. So guy's gonna have a hell of a week.
Poor guy.
Couldn't happen to a better person.
Oh, jeez. All right. So that is our show, guys. Thank you, as always, so much for joining us for this special look back on the 2025-2026 NFL season. And we'll have some more football content for you coming up in a little bit here as we look at the scouting combines that are coming up and the NFL draft in April. And before you know it, the summer will be here and pre-camp activities will be coming to you hard and fast. So We'll break it all down for you guys as we always do. Look forward to that, and also look forward to all of our WWE content as well, as we are on the road to WrestleMania, and we got a lot to talk about there as well. So with that, I am Mike, joined by Mr. Sean O'Neill. Have yourself a fantastic evening. Go see chickens and take care.